PMacMovies back for another PMacMovies reviews video. Oh, you thought it was a haul. No, you didn't, because you saw the description. But usually I do hauls first for the week. If I do, I rarely do these reviews videos. Maybe once a month. But Charmy has expressed interest in being in this week's haul video. So we'll see if that happens this afternoon. Either way, it should be up tomorrow for the haul video, with or without Charmy. We will see. If you do enjoy PMacMovies and you want to help out the channel, take a look in the description section for ways that you can help out. I got a couple stacks here, a decent amount of reviews to do. We got some Scream Factories. So for Scream Factory, I'm going to be going over The Rental, which is a more recent one, Raising Cain, Body Parts, The Ambulance, Shout Factory. We got Abduction, Ophelia, Rolling Thunder, Farewell My Lovely, The Big Sleep. Some other boutique items. We got Ghost Dog from Criterion. We got Police Story from Criterion. And then Narrow Margin from Kino. I'll be talking about those, as long as we'll see how it goes as far as time. So the other stack I have, which I'm going to do the boutiques first. I don't know how long I'm going to be talking about those, so we'll see how many we get to. But in the other stack, I got a couple Dollar Tree titles. We got Gwen from RLJ. We got the Nature Boy, Ric Flair, ESPN 30 for 30 documentary. I got American Gods in here. I got Season 2, which I just finished. League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which I rewatched a few weeks ago. Avatar, which I also rewatched a few weeks ago. Small Soldiers, which was a recent watch. Tomb Raider with Angelina Jolie. You Might Be the Killer, which is a Hamilton book one. The Wolf of Snow Hollow, which is a pretty recent kind of, I think it's like a Warner indie type of movie. Charlie's Angels, the one from early 2000s with Cameron Diaz. And then Street Fighter Assassin's Fist. So that's what I got here. I kick back, relax. I got some bone broth, no coffee this time. I made some homemade bone broth. Let's see how hot this is. Drinkable and tasty. Pretty good. It's hard to get enough bones to make bone broth, though. Alright, so let's take a look first at the Scream Factories, because I actually just watched 2 of them this morning, and they were both really fun ones. I was actually kind of surprised how good they were. First up, we have Brian De Palma's Raising Cain, which is also going to be in my PMacMovies haul video. I actually had this movie before. Without the slipcover, I had bought it, and I was able to sell it. I got my money back. I think I got most of my money back. And then I heard that Target was selling them with the slipcover, so I ordered it again. But anyway, the slipcovers beat to shit. But anyway, John Lithgow, who I feel is just a weird... I remember him from Third Rock from the Sun, and he was really funny in that. But he seems like in real life he's just got to be a weird son of a gun. He can really play like a silly type character or like a really evil type character really well. But there's something really off about him. It seems like he's the bad guy in a few movies. I'm thinking of the one Cliffhanger with Sylvester Stallone. I think he's the bad guy in that one. And this one he plays like this guy with multiple personalities, and it was actually like, it got mediocre reviews, so going into it I thought it would be Probably one of Brian De Palma's weaker movies based on the reviews I read and stuff like that, but I actually liked it just as much, if not more, than other Brian De Palma movies I've seen, and I've seen several, certainly not all, but I don't really know any of the other people that were in this. I didn't, there was the one guy, maybe Stephen Bauer, it seems like he was in Body Double, I think was the one that he was in. He's been in some other stuff. If it's the guy I'm thinking of, he was like a detective in this movie. But if you don't have this Scream Factory Collector's Edition, you order from Target. It's kind of pricey. I got it during the buy two get one, but it seems like you'll get one with the slipcover. But it's $25 now, so not the greatest bargain for a beat up slipcover. But I really enjoyed this, and I try not to give too many spoilers, so I'm not going to do that. As far as the multiple personality aspect of this movie, if you research things like MK Ultra and the Monarch mind control programs, there's interesting stuff about how research has shown that trauma can utilize trauma to make like split off personalities, and in the research community there's thoughts that like various famous people are mind controlled in that way. Who knows if it's true or not? It really, I mean, you got to remember a lot of conspiracy stuff is also like entertainment for people, so some of it's total BS, some of it's real. I think there's probably some real mixed with BS to it. So just interesting to research. And it's, when I do talk about some of my research and things like that, some of these people who give me a hard time, they'll start spouting off these like conspiracy theories that I've never talked about and don't necessarily even believe in. But once you start talking about some things that are considered conspiracy theories, you're lumped in with everybody in every conspiracy theory because they just put a label on you, because people have been programmed to do that. If you talk about things outside the box, they've been programmed to just put you with everybody else. Oh, Alex Jones. Oh. And Alex Jones is a complete loony, and it's like that on purpose. His stuff is owned by Time Warner, so it's obviously mainstream. But it's just interesting how that happens, where you talk about stuff outside the box, and oh, you talked about that, so you believe in all these other things too because you talked about that. Not what I said. You just, your mind has to make me crazy, so that's kind of what you go to. And I have worked with at least one person who's considered to have multiple personalities. And I'm not totally sure how much I believed it. Like, it's kind of, I don't know, it's a little bit unbelievable when you actually deal with somebody like that, because it seems like they're just kind of trying to mess around. But I think there is some trauma components to it, and maybe some playing into it components too. But I don't know. So Raising Cain, good movie, entertaining movie, has some twists and turns. I thought it was constructed pretty well. I really enjoyed it. And although I think John Lithgow is a creepy son of a gun, this is a really good role for him, because he can play creepy bad guys, and like a little kid, and like a guy that's pretty much like a normal guy. So it was a pretty good one. Another movie that I got from this one was from the Scream/Shout. So I think it was all Scream Factory, actually. They had a sale for Valentine's or something. And it is Body Parts. Again, I read pretty good things about it. This will also be in the haul video. And it sounded pretty decent, but I wanted to look into it. Bone brothy. It's actually pretty good. I like it. Starring Jeff Fahey. Written and directed by Eric Red, who did Conan and Tate. Another good movie. And Bad Moon, which I have on DVD, I passed on the Blu-ray of it because I have it on DVD. Maybe I should watch Bad Moon. Brad Dourif's also in this. Brad Dourif from Lord of the Rings, Child's Play, various other things. So this was actually a really fun, good one. I feel like this one is underrated. It got worse reviews than Raising Cain. I did probably prefer Raising Cain, but I thought that Body Parts was really good. It's from 1991. It's 88 minutes. Without giving much away, I think it sets it up pretty well because the main character Bill in this is a psychologist. He works in the prison, at least part of his job, and he gets he gets in an accident and gets a body part, and then weird things start happening after he gets that body part. But this movie gets into, it made me think of aspects. They did mention like the soul in this, I believe, soul or spirit. I think there's a lot of like metaphors and things in this regarding like nature, nurture, but also then makes me think there's nature, nurture, and then there's a spiritual component too. There's not just nature and nurture, but a spiritual component also. But it was mostly, there wasn't a whole lot of thinking involved in this movie. It was mostly just, you know, that kind of premise, and then an entertaining, fun ride of a movie. Not really much of a horror movie. There was some gore and stuff, but not a ton. I mean, I didn't really think it was really totally a horror movie. Probably more psychological, as was Raising Cain. Both really good movies. Highly recommended. I can't remember how much I paid for that. It doesn't matter. Maybe $15. Up next, we have another Scream Factory. This one is not a classic. This is more of a recent one. And it is called The Rental. 88 minutes from 2020. So it's recent. It was directed. He directed and did the screenplay. Dave Franco. Really good cast here. Dan Stevens, Allison Brie, Sheila Vann, Jeremy Allen White. This is so it's a movie where a couple couples go on this little vacation to this home. I don't know, it's just kind of like a little vacation home out in the country near the ocean though, near the ocean. And it's a lot of the movie really is drama and the interaction and relationships between these four main characters. But it weaves that along with what's going on in the place that they're living in. So I thought it did a good job of, it has that, really the main focus of the story was on these interactions between the four characters, the four main characters. And then it weaved the kind of the weird stuff, the killer stuff to it. And I thought it was pretty good. You know, I think when I watched it, I was somewhat underwhelmed with it. But in thinking back, it was a pretty solid movie. Like, it wasn't anything that's going to blow you away. I think it had enough unique qualities to it to make it something where you probably haven't quite seen this before. You've probably seen things similar to it. But I was really drawn in by the character stuff, the drama. And then, again, I'm trying to put it without ruining it, that it turns into more of like a slasher thing towards the end. But, so I think there's something here for everybody. I think also a lot of people could find it. If you're totally into horror, a lot of the movie is the drama and the build-up, and the payoff is at the end for the people who really like the horror. So, I don't know if people will like this per se. I thought it was pretty solid, though. I'd probably give it, I'd probably be somewhere like a 2.5 or 3 stars out of 4, which is quite entertaining and quite solid to me. Body Parts, and Raising Cain. I would probably give both of these a 3 out of 4 stars. Do I usually do 5 stars? If I did 5 star, does it really matter, PMac? It matters to me. I'd say the rental, I'm going to go 3.5 for the rental. I'm going to go 4 for Raising Cain and Body Parts. I like those enough that I'd give them 4 out of 5. We do have another Scream Factory, which I do have to say, these movies were fantastic. We have The Ambulance here, directed by Larry Cohen, from 1990, 96 minutes. Again, I wasn't totally sure what to think of this movie going in. Sounded like it could be pretty good, but I'll tell you what, out of all these Scream Factory movies that I'm reviewing, this one would be my highest recommendation. It really... Before I get too much into it, did I already say 1990, 96 minutes? Larry Cohen. Eric Roberts is the star of this. James Earl Jones is in it. Megan Gallagher, Richard Bright, Eric Braeden. This is just a fun ride. It's kind of like more so like a action comedy. It felt like, some of the. I think of some good action comedies, and I kind of think of this, and the comedy's weaved in very, very well in this movie because it's like a suspense thriller, but it really fits into many different genres. And actually, Charmaine walked in, and I had already watched a fair amount of the movie, maybe 20 minutes, maybe a half hour, and she was hooked, and that doesn't necessarily happen very often, where she came in and she was just hooked on this thing too, and she was laughing. There's an older character in this that was pretty hilarious. This is a really, really fun one. This is really an underrated gem in my opinion. I had never heard of it. I read some people talking about it on a message board. I decided to go ahead and grab it, and it is a really, really fun one. Highly recommended. Like I said, if you like suspense, thriller, comedy, action, and some horror elements mixed in also, some intrigue. This is just a fun one. Stan Lee's even in this one. Yeah, that's right. There's some comic book elements to this one too. It was a great movie. I was expecting it to be pretty entertaining, but I was kind of blown away. I have to give that a 4.5 out of 5. Not quite a PMac classic. We can't hand those out willy-nilly. Up next, I think I talked about this one on the channel before. Abduction, starring Scott Adkins, who I like. This is not a good movie. This is not an artsy movie. This movie has a fun premise. It's set in Asia, I think like Vietnam or something. It's got, Asian actors. Some of them not the greatest acting, don't speak the greatest English, but it's a fun time. From 2019, 100 minutes. And this is another Hamilton book one. I think it was $6. And I say if you like action movies, action, sci-fi, Asian, any of those categories, snag this one up. $6. It's a fun time. Turn your brain off. But there is some actual brain aspects to it with the sci-fi aspect, which is a big part of the movie. I thought it was really just totally a fun, good time. Action-packed. I actually think Scott Adkins is a decent actor. I don't know, maybe most people don't think so. Maybe he's not really known for his acting. I think he's a pretty decent actor. He's kind of a, he's an 80s action movie throwback, and there's actually a lot of time in this movie where he's not in it. I mean, I would say he's the main character, but there's a fair amount of the time where other characters are focused on too. So just a really good one. 2 versions of the film, including the extended director's cut. I wonder what I think I watched the extended director's cut. But this movie isn't that old, too. It looks like Shout Factory put this out in 2019. And like I said, I felt like the alien characters in this were something akin to that Shining sequel, the characters in that. I can never remember the name of that movie, even though I love the movie. I can't remember. Then we got some Shout Factory movies. So Abduction, I would go 3.5 out of 5 for Abduction. Really fun one. Shout Factory, we got, I heard that somebody got this at Dollar Tree on DVD. Ophelia here on Blu-ray from Shout Factory. It's an IFC film, IFC Films movie, 106 minutes. Looks like the movie's from 2018, put out in 2019. This is a really good one, too. I mean, this is a really good one. If you find this at Dollar Tree, I highly recommend that you snag it, whether it be the DVD or the Blu-ray. Daisy Ridley never really did a whole lot for me in the Star Wars movies, quite honestly, but I liked her in this. Naomi Watts, who's always good. Clive Owen, his character's a douche in this. I guess he did it pretty well. I used to like Clive Owen. What happened to Clive Owen? But this is a take on the Hamlet story, but it's mostly from Ophelia's point of view. I was really into it the whole way, I have to say. Directed by Claire McCarthy, no idea who that is. Tom Felton's also in this. Harry Potter! And I'm trying to think of what I want to say about this movie, because it was a while ago I watched it, and I liked it a lot. I guess I don't really have anything specific to say about it. I just felt like it was a really good movie, well acted. Really, it did well with getting you to care about the characters, and a really nice cast in this thing. So you cared what happened to the characters, especially Ophelia, which they kind of show her when she was real young at first, and like from a poor family, and that she gets in with the queen. And there's some romance. Ophelia, highly recommended, 4 out of 5 stars for that one. This is the only one out of these screams and shouts I didn't really care that much for. Rolling Thunder, starring William Devane, who's the main character, and then Tommy Lee Jones is in it briefly. This is from 1977, 95 minutes. It's basically a couple Vietnam vets coming back from Vietnam, and William Devane's character has some issues in this. In his return, they were captured Vietnam vets, so they were ones that were like held and tortured and stuff at a POW camp. It was interesting how William Devane's character seemed like, due to the trauma he had, just a total like. His emotions were not the way a normal person should be, which makes sense from somebody who's held hostage like that, but some really bad things happened to him in this movie, and he just doesn't even show any reaction to them. I thought it was just okay. I didn't really care that much about it. William Devane's character has like a woman who's like obsessed with him, and they're after some guys, him and her, or basically him, but she's helping him, and then he gets the help of Tommy Lee Jones, who is his old POW buddy. Rolling Thunder, I'll give it a 3 out of 5. Not one that I really cared for that much, but it wasn't a bad movie, but I just didn't care for it that much. Then we got a 2-pack, which I highly recommend. Robert Mitchum in Farewell My Lovely and The Big Sleep. This is a Shout Select. These movies are from 1975 and 1978, 95 and 99 minutes. They are kind of noir detective movies. Robert Mitchum plays Philip Marlowe, who I believe was a character in books, which I'm not too familiar with the books, but there's been a lot of screen adaptations of the Philip Marlowe character. And after I watched these, I was interested in the other adaptations. I do have at least one of them. I can't remember. But I'll tell you, I thought Robert Mitchum was absolutely fantastic in both of these movies. And there's a lot of... it's basically like a standard detective sort of thing. I felt like it was basically a standard detective movies. However, Robert Mitchum's portrayal of Philip Marlowe made it really a step above many other detective movies. So these are very highly recommended. Really nice to get both of them in the set. I thought that the quality of the release was really good too. I didn't have any issues with it. Of course, I had never seen these before, my first time seeing them, so I couldn't compare it to like a DVD or something like that. It looks like Shout Factory put this out in 2018. It does have a few special features. You can see those. But if you like detective stuff, noir, detective, all those sorts of things, absolutely fantastic couple movies. I give them both like a 4 out of 5. Robert Mitchum was kind of like, he's got some like kind of clever humor in this. His character is really good, really nicely done by him. I think what we're going to do is just get through the boutiques and leave the other ones for another reviews video, because this is going to be about a half hour after these. So Narrow Margin is the next one, starring Gene Hackman and Ann Archer. This was one that I bought on DVD from Goodwill, but then I bought the Blu-ray because I was able to get it for about $10. Directed by Peter Hyams, from 1990, 97 minutes. I was kind of... It's not... Basically, it's a pretty much a straight-up kind of suspense, thriller, action type of movie. It's good, but is it one that I necessarily needed on Blu-ray? I don't know. I don't know. It was solid, though. I'm not saying it wasn't good. It was a very entertaining movie, just not necessarily one that I needed the best edition of. I probably could have just went with my $2 DVD copy. The Blu-ray was good, the Blu-ray quality, and pretty much a straight-up thriller, like I said, focused on Gene Hackman's character is a lawyer trying to protect this witness. They took a helicopter to this remote place in Canada to get to the witness, but then their helicopter gets blown up, so then most of the movie is set on a train. They're trying to get back home, but Gene Hackman can't really trust anybody. They don't know who's working for this mob or gang, or this mob. They don't know who's working for them and who isn't, and things like that. So it was a good one. I enjoyed it. 3.5 stars out of 5. These last two didn't care for a ton. I got the Criterion of Ghost Dog from 1999, 116 minutes, put out by Criterion, directed by Jim Jarmusch. I've never really loved Jim Jarmusch movies. They have a certain feel to them, a certain, I don't know, boringness to them. It wasn't bad. It wasn't really that entertaining to me. I mean, it was okay. And on the back it says, he combined his love for ice-cool crime dramas of Jean-Pierre Melville and Saigon Suzuki with the philosophical dimensions of the samurai mythology of an eccentrically postmodern take on a hitman thriller. It's basically like an artsy, I don't know if I want to say action movie. It's basically like an artsy kind of gangster movie, more or less. Didn't really care for it that much. So, it was decent. It It's a good movie, but it's one that it wasn't super entertaining to me. I'd give it 3 out of 5. And then we have Jackie Chan in Police Story. I only watched the first one. It was silly. I wasn't necessarily sure what to expect. I actually haven't seen a lot of like Jackie Chan comedies. A few. Uh-oh, my battery's running low. A few, but not a ton. So I tend to be not so much into comedy necessarily. Like when it's weaved through like an action movie where it's just part of it, I felt like it's a little bit better. But it was like the main component of Police Story was the comedy. There was action definitely, and some of the stunts he did in it where he actually did the stunts are pretty crazy looking. I don't know how they did those. I do think I was reading a little bit about it. It sounds like maybe he gets injured quite a bit, and including some of the stuff he did in this movie. I think there's a part in the mall where he shimmies down a long ways, and I believe I read that he got injured in that, or maybe either he got injured, it was like one of his most dangerous stunts or something like that. So that stuff was kind of cool. I just wasn't necessarily in the right mood or mindset for it. So it was like a fun movie, but nothing great. Again, none of these movies that I reviewed were terrible, and that's why the lowest I'm giving is like 3 out of 5. I didn't hate the movies. I just didn't necessarily like get real involved in them and love them, other than the ones that I did give like a 4 or a 4.5, and even Abduction, which it's not really a good movie, which is why I give it a 3.5. As far as the fun factor, I would say it's probably a 4 or 4.5. But probably Ambulance was the one that I liked the most out of these movies that I went over today. But actually, the 2 Robert Mitchum movies, absolutely fantastic. I absolutely recommend that. The Rental was decent. Raising Cain, really solid. Body Parts, really solid. Ophelia, really good. Rolling Thunder, kind of depressing. And Narrow Margin was a fun one too, really. But I think that's all we're going to do today. A little bit over a half hour is enough. I will save the others for another time. I don't want to go too long in this video. Hope you enjoyed. If you, again, if you do enjoy my videos, take a look in the description section for ways you can help out. I do appreciate the thumbs up and the comments for these reviews videos. These are not watched as much as the haul videos, so we need your interaction on these even more because it gets a lot less views. That's just the way it is. People love the hauls. They don't give a shit about the reviews. But that's it. We'll see you next time on PMacMovies.